Hopefully you remember that yesterday the gospel reading was the account of the blind man sitting by the roadside, and a crowd was passing by, and he asked, what's going on? And they told him, our Lord is there. And so he takes advantage of that opportunity, and of course he's healed of his blindness. Today is actually a similar kind of account. Zacchaeus is not physically blind, but he's not able to see our Lord because he's very short. And so in order to see our Lord, because of his great curiosity, his desire to want to know our Lord, to know about him, to want to know what he looks like, he runs ahead and he climbs a tree, and in doing so, he's actually making a fool of himself. So, most adult men do not climb trees. Young children tend to climb trees, but so he's kind of making a fool of himself, but he doesn't care, because he's determined to want to see our Lord. And so our Lord honors him. Our Lord actually rewards him for his effort to see him by saying, Zacchaeus, I'm going to come and dine in your house. I'm inviting myself to your house. You will have an opportunity to see me, to watch me, to observe me, to listen to me, to get to know me. So our Lord is honoring him. And we need to apply this to ourselves. So our Lord is passing by, and we could say that our Lord is passing by every minute of our lives. And the ideal is that we're consciously aware of the presence of God and try to act always in a way that is pleasing to God, in a way that we see God. Spiritual authors talk about this in the form of being recollected. To be recollected means we're always thinking of God. We're always acting as if we are in the presence of God, that we never lose sight of the presence of God in our lives. So it's good to act that way. But in our lives also, there may be things that prevent us from seeing our Lord, or at least getting closer to him, or having the opportunity to get to know him more. So what are those obstacles in our lives? And it may be things that, might be sinful things that we need to get rid of. Maybe watching too much TV or things that you shouldn't be watching. But it may also be sins of negligence, sins of omission, maybe not reading the scriptures. So the ideal is we want to imitate this desire of Zacchaeus to want to get to know our Lord. Now, interestingly enough, with Zacchaeus, when the people grumble and say he accuse our Lord, he's gone to be the guest of one who is a sinner, Zacchaeus stood there. And it's kind of like Zacchaeus is standing up to defend our Lord. And he says, look, half of my possessions. Now, he was a very rich man. Half of his possessions, that's probably a lot. Half of my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor. And if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much. So half his possessions he's going to give to the poor. And then, in addition to that, if he's defrauded anyone, he's going to pay back 4 times as much. He's probably not going to have a lot left after that. But the point is, he trusts our Lord. He trusts God. Now, we don't know how much knowledge he had of Christ, or, he probably believed that, he must be the Messiah, but he probably didn't understand many things. But he's willing to trust God completely with just a little bit of exposure to our Lord. Sure, he must have heard things about him, yes, but he's got this tremendous trust. And we need to have that similar kind of trust, to be willing to let go of all things for the sake of our Lord, for the sake of having a close relationship with him. And this theme of trust is present in today's feast. It's the feast of the presentation of Our Lady. In other words, when her parents, Joachim and Anne, St. Joachim and St. Anne, presented her to the temple, dedicated her to the temple to be raised in the temple, to be taught in the ways of God and to have this knowledge of God. So they're entrusting her to God, to the providence of God. And not only that, but the Blessed Virgin Mary herself, complete surrender, complete trust in God, even when the angel comes and Mary doesn't fully understand that she's to become the mother of God. How can this be, since I know not man? But let it be done unto me according to your word. Complete trust in God. And we see this also in today's first reading. So it's from the book of Maccabees, the second book of Maccabees, and there's this severe persecution that's taking place of the Jewish people. And there's this elderly man, Eleazar, and he's highly respected. So everybody's being forced to eat swine's flesh, in other words, to break their covenant with God, to go against the dictates of God. Now, it's true that many of the Jews previously had broken their covenant with God in many ways, and they started worshiping false idols, but there were always some who remained faithful. And here's Eleazar, right? He's an old man, and they tell him, just bring some of the meat from your own home, and that's kosher or whatever, and just pretend you're eating the sacrificed meat, just so you could spare your life, because we really respect you. We don't want to see you suffer. We don't want to see you die. We respect you. We know you're a good man. But Eleazar says, no. You can't pretend. You can't pretend, and you can't water down the faith. You can't make exceptions. So, what's the big deal if you eat a little bit of meat that's sacrificed? But Eleazar says no. And there's an important lesson here for all of us, and that is that when we start watering down the faith, when we start being negligent in little things, it will lead to negligence in bigger things. There's a passage where our Lord says, he who is faithful in little things will be faithful in great things. And he who is unfaithful in little things will be unfaithful in great things. And so often the problem with us is we are ungrateful and unfaithful, rather, in little things. We commit little sins, venial sins. Now, sometimes it's without our really consciously thinking about it. We just do it out of habit or routine, whatever. But there are times when we know, okay, this is wrong, but I'm going to do it anyways. It's just a venial sin. And that's not a good attitude. It means we're not taking our faith seriously. So we need to strive to get closer to our Lord. We need to remove obstacles to that, or we may need to do more things in order to get closer to our Lord. And we need to have this tremendous trust in him so that we entrust everything to him, including our very lives. And part of that entrustment means that we're going to obey God even in the most minute things. So in imitation of Eleazar, who willingly sacrificed his life, willingly suffered in order to remain faithful to God, entertaining the hope that he will be rewarded by God and that he will be resurrected on the last day.